For all of our business owners and real estate investors, you may or may not have seen a website like this where you have to file the beneficial ownership information. Now, if you don't do this by the end of the year, what's the penalty, Derek?
$500 a day.
$500 a day. Gosh, that seems really steep. So if you want to know exactly what you have to do to make sure you stay compliant in 2024, make sure to watch this episode. Welcome to Office Hours, a tax podcast by Fujikawa Associates. And we're your hosts. I'm Josh Baldovino, a real estate investor and one of Derek's clients. And this is Derek Fujikawa, who's the managing partner of Fujikawa Associates. Derek, how you doing today?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good. I know it is about to get crazy for you. It's the beginning of the year, which means it is like the start of tax time.
Yep.
And there are some new requirements put out by the government for 2024. So today we are jumping into beneficial ownership information reporting. Gosh, I wish I would have picked a better name, huh, Derek?
Yeah, I know. Doesn't roll off the tongue, huh?
No, but businesses got notified of this. It's been all over social media. Let me share my screen, but there is something that is required by the government. So what are we looking at here?
There's a Corporate Transparency Act that was passed in 2021 that's requiring all corporations essentially, but any business that has to register with a Secretary of State to file the beneficial owners of that entity with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN.
So what does this actually mean for the business? Like, how is this information used? For me, I see this as we're telling them exactly who benefits, from the entity. But I know a lot of people in the real estate space, especially, try and formulate like a Wyoming LLC to hide who they are. Like, how does this affect that?
It's not public record, so it doesn't affect that. So it is something that the government is collecting this information, but they're not making it public record.
Okay, so our friends with Wyoming LLCs can be hidden.
Yeah.
All right. But I know even when I try to look in, one thing that the government does not do well is distill the information in something that is digestible.
No, they don't.
Like,
They're
this
getting
is a
better at
hodgepodge,
it. Yeah.
which is also why I am very happy to partner with you so that you can help break it down to us, hopefully in layman's terms, so that we do this right.
Yeah, they
And
just use kind of the fire hose method of giving you all the information.
yeah, I don't get it. Like, okay, so you also have a nice little summary report. If you're watching this on YouTube, awesome. We will also link this down below into a blog post that'll be on Derek's website. But Derek, so who must file? Who has to do this?
Yeah, so it's really any entity that has to register with a Secretary of State in any of the states in the United States or their territories. So which basically boils down to primarily corporations, including LLCs and single member LLCs. So, even the very small businesses, mom and pop or single person that sets up an LLC will have to do this. Other ones might be limited partnerships, limited liability partnerships, business trusts. Those also have to register with the Secretary of State. So those would fall under this law. The only other one that I could think of would be foreign corporations, out of a corporation from out of the United States that wants to operate in the United States. So they'll have to register with the Secretary of State here in order to operate in that particular state.
Okay, so it sounds like most individuals who are doing, say, real estate investing out of an LLC will have to file this.
Yes.
Probably most small businesses will.
Mm-hmm.
Who is exempt? So who doesn't have to? General partnerships. Earlier before the call, I asked you.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is single member LLCs. So if I have a partnership LLC, but is this the same or different?
No, general partnership is different than a multiple member LLC. So they file the same tax return, but they're different types of entities. So a general partnership is more like a joint venture where you don't file any paperwork with the Secretary of State. You just create a partnership agreement with another person or multiple people, and then you pull that business together and report it as one business instead of separately on your separate returns. So that is different. A multiple member LLC does have to register with the Secretary of State. Thus, it would fall under the rules for this beneficial ownership interest reporting.
Okay. And then trusts are exempt. So if you do things out of, I mean, you say most here.
Yeah, because as you can see up above, business trusts can fall under the reporting requirements. But if you have, say, a living trust or just any type of normal individual type trusts, those wouldn't fall under the reporting requirements. One other one that I didn't put on there is sole proprietorship. So if you have a small business and you're just a sole proprietorship, that wouldn't that is not subject to the reporting requirements either.
Okay, good to know. So that means those who are doing like that DBA and things like that don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, correct.
All right, and these other ones down here?
Yeah, so tax exempt organizations are not subject to the reporting requirements. Charities, things like that. Large corporations, so they're subject to like SEC requirements and things like that. So they're generally not going to fall into this. They're going to have to report all that anyways on their filing. So, but what the IRS or what FinCEN deems as a large corporation is a corporation that has at least 20 full-time employees, has an office in the U.S., and more than $5 million in gross receipts within the U.S.
Huh.
So if you're a multinational firm and you have 5 million, but it includes receipts from out of the country, then that doesn't qualify for that $5 million piece there. So it has to be U.S. Gross receipts. And there are a number of other exemptions, but they're somewhat specific. So you can go to the FinCEN website and find those within that huge other amount of information in there.
Fair enough. So I'm assuming that obviously all of these, whether you are top here or here, that would cover, I would say, probably 99% of your clients.
Yeah, a vast majority. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And yes, anytime obviously you get a real letter from the government, because again, there's a lot of fake letters too. So
Yes,
definitely be aware of that. It's nice that the due date seems to be far away. So it's by the end of this calendar year.
Yes. So if you're an existing company or a business that was in existence prior to the beginning of this year, prior to January 1st of 24, then you have until the end of this year to file this. So you have some time, but don't wait until December 30th to frantically try and put it in, because the system will probably crash at that point and might be out of luck. So do it now, or do it sometime during the year and get it done, just so that you don't have to worry about it. But there are some different rules. So if you do create the company this year, then you have 90 days from the date that you created the company to file this information. And so that is actually a special exemption for this year, the first year. Going forward after 2024, it's 30 days after you form. So it's really, and you really need to keep track of that. Make sure that you do it. It's actually a very steep penalty if you don't file it on time. So $500 per day. There are some potential criminal penalties as well. So you just want to make sure you file that.
Okay, this is very they need you to do this, and
it's not one of those things you can just say, I'll deal with it when I get a letter or whatever, because the longer you wait, the bigger that penalty is going to be.
Okay, so if you want to avoid a $500 per day penalty, which will be the hook at the beginning of this video now.
Sure.
We'll definitely do this. Okay, so the information that you need for filing. So let's go ahead and jump in. What do we need to gather before we file this through?
Yeah, so any entity that's formed after 2023, so starting in 24 or later, you actually have to report the company applicant. So like a lot of people use like these online services or maybe an attorney to file everything. So that will actually need to be reported on there. If it's before 23 or before 24, then you don't have to file that information. So any existing companies before 2024. And then you must report all the beneficial owners. And so a beneficial owner is not necessarily an owner of the company, as the name states. So it's, it is anyone that owns at least 25% of the reporting company. So even if you're a minority shareholder, or, if you own less than 25%, you don't have to be reported unless you fall under one of the other categories. The other one is that you exercise substantial control over the reporting company. So you could just be a regular W-2 employee and still need to be reported because you are, you exercise substantial control. So senior officers, and anyone that actually has, substantial influence over important matters of the business.
Okay.
So CEO, president,
Hmm.
any of those high-ranking positions within the company.
Okay.
And then anyone with indirect substantial control. So say you own or you're the trustee of a trust that owns 25% of the business, then you yourself don't own 25% of the business, but you control this trust that does own 25, then you're actually a beneficial owner too. So there's a lot of things, you want to look at your situation. If you're not sure, probably report it just to be safe, especially at this point when the rules are so kind of nebulous and it's so brand new.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's just something to consider.
Okay. And and then we have here, well, I guess owns or controls, which you did talk about.
Yes.
And so this is all of the information we need to have for each of these individuals above.
Yes. Yes. So name, address, date of birth, and then your ID, a unique ID. So generally, if you're a U.S. citizen, probably your driver's license or ID card or passport, and then they'll need an image of that. And so you'll need to upload that onto the FinCEN website.
Okay.
So, but you can get an identifier. So if you don't want to enter that all the time and just keep, you can get what's called a FinCEN identifier, and they'll
Hmm.
give you a number. And so you have to provide the same information, but then once you do that through FinCEN, they give you a number. And so
Okay.
you could have, say, maybe each beneficial owner do this and get a number. And then that way, when you file it, you just put that number down instead of having to upload everyone's individual, you know, driver's license or passport and things like that.
Gotcha. So then you're saying that, say I own XYZ Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, XYZ Corporation can do it all. Let's just say for a dozen
Mm-hmm.
individuals that are deemed as beneficial owners. Or there's also a way that the individual beneficial owners themselves can then file for XYZ.
Well, they can file to get a number. So the
Mm.
XYZ has to file this report with all of
Okay.
the beneficial owners.
Mm-hmm.
But the beneficial owner can go and put all that information in and get a number.
Mm.
And then whoever's filing the beneficial ownership report can use that number for that person instead of all that information that, the name, address. Well, you probably have to put the name, but address, date of birth, upload the ID and all that.
Okay. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And then obviously it's some work. It's not a tremendous amount of work. It is kind of just like those annoying admin things.
Yes. Yeah.
And so how often are we having to do this?
So you have to do it. If nothing ever changed, you just have to do it once to
Okay.
file it, and you don't. But realistically, you are going to have to update it occasionally because if any information changes, then you have to update that. So if someone moves, or you're going to have to change it every so often because you have to have a current ID on there.
Mm.
So licenses and passports expire after so many years, right? So you're going to have to renew them, get a new one. You have to upload the new license. So you will have to file a change when that occurs.
Gotcha. So, and then in your mind, as you talk about corporations who may have to do this, obviously there are large corporations exemptions, they have their own.
Mhm.
Like, do you see this more as a function of HR or of finance?
Yeah, I would say probably finance,
Mm-hmm.
um, or an outside, you know, accountant or attorney.
Yeah.
Um, it's so new right now. It's hard to say. I mean, Um, a lot of companies can do it themselves. It's relatively easy. If you're a single person, you could probably just upload your own information and get it on there and be done with it.
Yeah.
Um, but but if you're not sure and you want to just make sure that everything's done correctly, then you might want to outsource it to somebody.
Okay. Have you done this for your company yet?
Not yet. I'm
All
still
right.
going through everything. So
Well, I'll race you to it then. We can figure
yeah.
out how long this actually takes. And so, in terms of filing, there is a website that you go on to, which is this fincen.gov/BOI, which I'll leave that link down below as well. Any of the last things that you want to share about this?
Just make sure you take care of it, because those penalties are very, very substantial. So I'm guessing, I don't know for a fact or not, but there will probably be some sort of relief for it, since it's brand new and people are still figuring this out.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't test that. So, and there's no way to guarantee that, right? So $500 a day, you forget for 10 days, that's $5,000. So you really want to make sure you're on top of this.
Gotcha. It would be a fun follow-up that we should make as coming to my head, and as I'm just thinking about business entities in general, it's never clear cut between going to all the different states and the Fed sites. I mean, obviously, you focus mainly in California, but maybe we should eventually make a checklist, an annual checklist or maybe you already have one for LLCs and corporations of quarterly do these, annually do these. And that could be an interesting resource to give to people as they think about their next business steps.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sweet. Well, I will get to work on this, Derek. I appreciate you breaking it down so that we don't have to read the. This part seems like 100 different pages or something.
Yeah.
And so you did take, or this is a module in a recent professional class that you took, right?
Yes. It was they spent quite a bit of time on it, so it tells you how important it is.
All right. Well, we all have homework to do. Derek, thank you for breaking it down and making it easy. Again, if you want a copy of this, I will link this down to the description to get the written version on the Fujikawa Associates website. But if you found this valuable, make sure to like and subscribe, and then share this with your other friends who have businesses, so that way they can go ahead and make sure that they're filing correctly. Well, thanks so much, Derek. I appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. Thanks.
And we will see you all on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.